Playbook. Right, and like I made mention, it's way beyond just your resume. I'm going to talk about some core things for us as career professionals. Everyone on this call is a career professional. All right. So we're going to look at rebranding your resume for a new professional path. Because some of us we can just wake up one day and we're like, I don't think this discipline is paying me enough. All right. So I'm thinking of pivoting to one that would pay me um let's call it my money's worth. All right, so that's basically what we're going to be doing today. I have some friends now that didn't study finance, but it seems like finance is buzzing, and so everybody wants to go into finance now. They're asking, how can I start on a field that I don't have a foundation in, or I've had years of experience but in a different field. I think I'm a good example of that because I started my journey in programs, right? Programs management and all. And then I am here now, right? Doing something entirely different, talking about resumes. But ask me in 2021 if I would ever have a class on resumes, I'll probably say, hell no, because I was too busy just in a non-profit space thinking of the next program to impact young leaders. But then this is impactful so far, isn't it? If this journey has been impactful for you, please you can tell me on the chat box or you can use a reaction. So I'm sure that these sessions have been mutually beneficial for every single one of us. All right. So who is today's session for? Um, the first group of people, the category of people that today's session is for working professionals. Meaning a lot of us on this call, thank you very much, PBK. A lot of us on this call have been we've already been working on something, right? So we're just seeking strategic guidance for career evolution. So we want to change, want to branch off to a new discipline. So we're asking, what am I going to do? What's the best way possible to make that pitch? I spoke to a friend today. He's been a graphic designer for a good number of years, right? Very good at what he does. And he's saying to me, Gary, I want to go into web design, right? And I feel like I want to move out from just doing graphic design, so actually you doing UI UX designs for web developers so that I can transition into that space. And I'm like, that's great, right? While it looks like a new space, he can use what he has already, the knowledge about colors, arrangement, and all that. But it may not be the same for other people. Some may be an entire transition, from one niche. Like my friend that I talked about in the last call that transitioned from engineering straight to finance, right? So we'd understand, how to navigate that to mid-level employees are the other people that this particular session is for. So you're, ready to leverage the experience you currently have for new opportunities. You are saying, what are the transferable skills that I already have? Right. Maybe I've been in the non-profit sector, I'm moving to the for-profit sector. What are those transferable skills that I want to, hone? Right. Then you have people that are burnout professionals. So, of course, mid-level professional people that have spent years, right, in a particular industry, but they want to see how they can take that knowledge and place it somewhere else. My friend that I talked about the other time, Victor, he made a video on Instagram where he was saying, not everybody in tech codes, right? He is in tech, but you have to now find how your the skills you have, the knowledge you have, can be replicated into structures and systems that tech can make use of, and that's how you go into tech without having to code. So, another set of people that are here are burnt out professionals. I mean, you've been doing this thing, you love it, but for some reason you feel like you're bigger than this, and then you don't even feel like you even have the zeal to wake up every morning again to try. So you're looking for a fresh start. You want to renew your passion, and you're in the right place. I kid you not. We have career switchers. Those ones are committed to transitioning into a new. They have like said, packing my bags. This song that we sang so much. I think good 5, 5 to 7, 8 years ago by Timmy Dakolo. I packed my bags. I'm leaving town for the one-way ticket. So some of us on this call are packing our bags. And we're leaving the town of the industries that we have already been for years, right? We bought a one-way ticket. We're not saying maybe drop me off here. Let me just try this one or try this one. No, we already said sorry, I read theater art in school, but I don't really care what anybody's saying, right? I am going to procurement. That kind of people we're having on this call too. We have growth seekers, people that are aiming for fulfillment, better pay and enhanced impact. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. For example, aiming for fulfillment. Or I've been in finance. I met someone on a call early this year. I'm trying to remember her name, but I can't remember her name. She's from South Africa. She has been in finance for 20 years in the government, under the government. She retired. So she resigned rather and said she wants to go into something impactful. This is not guarantee her better pay, but of course, before you have mind to quit finance, you'll have gathered your money in finance for 20 years. Right? She needed something that was going to fulfill her. And so she said, oh, on the call that if we're having any opportunity around the non-profit space, that she's ready to partner with it. Right? She's looking for growth, she's looking for fulfillment, she's not looking for better pay. Why there's some of us that want to transition from a particular industry to another because of better pay, right? You are still growth seekers. And then enhanced impact. For example, you've been um let's say one of those clerical administrative staffs in the non-profit sector, for example, and you want to go to a department that actually does the work, the facilitators, the programs managers, um the project managers. You want to just be in a space where you can see impact, directly, and you are in the right place. That is the reality for some of us on this call, right? And it's important for us to address it. Some of them are common, some are misconceptions. But you can't solve a problem you've not identified first. Most times when you go to the hospital, I said most times because sometimes some hospitals are quack. But when you go and you say, oh, you have malaria, for example, the doctor says, okay, what are the symptoms that you do have for you to say you have malaria? He asks you, oh, is your temperature high? Do you have headaches? Do you feel sleepy? Do you have blisters on your lip? I'm just giving examples. I read economics, so I may not be saying the right symptoms, right? And I've not been to the hospital in a very long while, so I wouldn't really know. However, he asks these questions because he wants to make a diagnosis. So for some of us, I'd hear for some of us on this call, but we'll look at these common anxieties and we'll make a diagnosis for you. If truly what you need is a transition to a new discipline, or you need to don't jump the gun yet. You need to stay in that particular industry first and then make the most out of it, make a pathway for yourself, and then you move. All right. Now, one of the common anxiety for us on this call is fear of starting over. And the question, and that's very real, very, very real. For some of us that may be faith driven, I say this because when I hear people say, "Oh, I'm quitting my job, I'm quitting my 9 to 5," I ask most of the times, what's the reason behind it? If it's largely because you're tired of a particular space, I just want to just beg, you don't just go somewhere else. It would be wise for you to get another job first before quitting. But then there are some that will need a leap of faith, and so they need to drop something and then with their way into another thing. So it's always important to know why. So the perception that all previous efforts are nullified, right? It may not really be the case for some people. For some, yes, because when you're moving from one whole discipline that is so different to another one, right? That scare. As I've been a nurse for the last 20 years, of what value will I be in finance? Of what value will I be in construction? Right? You can have that fear and it's valid. Pay cut anxiety. When you're worried about financial stability during this transition, for example, you quit your job, you want to go into a new discipline, not go to another job, what are you going to be doing? And what's the guarantee that you're going to start? Because you may be a mid-level professional today, but you go to another industry, you start at an entry level quit my job and focus on school. It means that you're going to be, broke for some time unless you're a hustler or you have a skill that you want to just hone as a freelancer, but it doesn't just kick off immediately unless you have been doing it before. So that pay cut
Gary, you're muted.
It's where you- oh, I lost connection earlier. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, I apologies for that. I think there was a twitch in the light, and so the Wi-Fi went out. So I'm connected to my cellular now. There's light now, but I don't want to risk it. Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you. You can
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead, please.
All right. All right. I do hope it's not the Abuja MTN issue that is picking up again, because we've had terrible network for since the beginning of the week. It was terrible last week, but then this week just was something else. Um. All right. Okay. So as I was saying, yeah, I was talking about pay cut, right? That's another thing you want to consider, what the new platform would offer you, right? So then my experience won't count is something that still rings in our minds, because we may be underestimating the value of transferable skills, like I made mention originally. Some of us may not feel like, if we feel like more the skills that I have, how how sure am I that it would be relevant in this new industry that I am going to? Will it even be relevant? It's a very big question. And so we have that consciousness. Explaining the changes. So difficulty articulating career pivots to recruiters. That's one thing that some of this. So this one is for people that are already in the process, right? The other ones are people that were contemplating. This is for people that are already in the process, and they're saying to themselves, "How do I now explain this?" Right? I shared a resume. I think that was last session, of someone that was doing a master's in a particular course, and we're able to transition the person to a PhD in finance. Right. I didn't know if I don't know if I promised to show you guys the person's admission, so it doesn't look as though no, okay, showing you admission would mean that I'll show you the person's name. We're not supposed to do that. All right. So, but that is a reality for someone. So we're able to articulate, this career pivot. And it's something I'm going to share pivotal. When you're transitioning to a new discipline, most times we have what we call a professional summary, executive summary on our resume. When you're transitioning to a new discipline, you change that thing from a professional or executive summary to a personal statement. Or it feels more like a personal statement, because you're telling the person, "Sir, ma, recruiter, I may have been in this other industry. You can check my experience and say that I've not really been in this industry, but here are some transferable skills that I've had that would qualify me for this particular position," right? So, but we'll get to that anyways. Now, the truth about career switching, right? Um, it is important. It is strategic. It is strategic. It doesn't mean failure. So sometimes when you're moving from one place to another, it doesn't mean that you're maybe, because for people outside, it's why this person maybe disciplined. Maybe he was not cut out for it in the first, or she was not cut out for it in the first place. But sometimes it's strategic. It's not all transition that is meaning I failed in this industry, I'm going to another one. No, sometimes it's deliberate move towards alignment and growth, right? Another truth about this whole switching is experience is transferable. I kid you not. I kid you not. If we can transmit someone attending just one, taking one course rather on finance in Udemy, right, and brushing up the person's resume to a level where the person can get a PhD admission in finance, then we're rest assured that every experience is transferable, right? So the skills acquired are valuable across industry. You just have to know how to put it together. Right? Seniority can be repositioned. So yes, oh, I've been the senior manager in my company. My company have been in this industry before. If I'm going to this new industry now, they may want to bring me as an entry level staff. Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Right? Don't worry. It is not a guarantee that you're going to start from scratch because you're coming to a new industry. We will teach you how to leverage leadership and management acumen. I was watching a series recently, and the man he suddenly became an upstanding citizen. He was a terrible person before, and so he got to be employee of the month in where he was working. But there was massive what was the word, labor cut, and so the management started firing people, going to different branches of their companies and just firing everybody, closing the off because operation costs were high, and so he had to go and seek for a new job. Now, for every place he goes to, the first thing he says is that I understand, I'm new here, and it'd be absurd for you just come and give me the manager role. I was a manager in my former place. I totally understand, and it's fine. So he's coming there with the confidence that I'm not taking anything less than a manager role, whether or not, right? Whether or not I was in this industry before, because he believes that he could leverage his leadership and his management acumen, whether or not it's a new industry. So it starts with the mind, right? Another thing I want us to understand is growth requires reinvention, and that's real life. I don't know what animal, I don't know if it's a snake or do that they have to shed their skin from time to time, right? Please, biology students, please tell me on the, okay, it's a snake, right? Fantastic. I don't know what the benefit is of shedding the skin. I think it has relevance. Sometimes when we find ourselves, I don't know if it's Hamatan season, when you wash your clothes with your hands, or you do so much washing with your hand, it may not be clothes, you got the plates. You see that your skin start peeling at some point, right? And maybe you see that the skin underneath it is fresh. So it means that even us as individuals, our anatomy, right, already prompts us for reinvention. And then every other animal out there has a certain form of reinvention. I believe they have a certain form. Some of them, maybe their fur, right? Maybe for the animals that have fur, their fur changes. Those that have skin, their skin changes. Some of them change dentition. Some of them change their claws from time to time. I think it's the eagle, where the eagle has to shed, I don't know if it's their skin or something. I know the eagles is quite profound, where they take them to the high place in the mountain, and then their parents let them go and all that stuff. Or I think once every 40 years. I don't know. I know there's a principle to eagles, right? Please, if you know that principle, please tell us on the chat box. But I know there's a principle to ego for reinvention, right? So we as human beings have to embrace that change to unlock this new potential. It may not be pleasant, of course. I believe the concept of that ego isn't a pleasant one. But then at the end of the day, there's this popular thing we always say, you rise from the ashes like the phoenix, right? Ashes is not pleasant. And for those of us that are faith-based, that are Christian, I would say the Bible gives us beautiful ashes. Right? So, I mean, ashes is not pleasant. Have you ever lit a matchstick before? And when you're trying to just, turn on what you want to turn on, it touches you and you say, like, ouch. Okay. Not very many Nigerians say ouch, or some of that kind of exclamation, right? Because we're going to be traditional, whether we like it or not. Now, when this happens, that was a small thing, right? But that matchstick is capable of lighting so many things. It can turn on the gas, firewood, candles. It can even set the house on fire, right? But we're talking about how the pain was for us originally. The same matchstick that can give us light can give us pain, but it's a reinvention. So and some of us, I don't know if it is when you're a child, when you light candles, you carry that is it latex or that wax from candle, and you're putting it in your hand, right? And you're building what's the word? You become stronger, right? So you before you could just drop one wax and you're shouting Jesus, right? But then 1 week or a few days after, I believe I'm not the only one that did this in this call. If you know you did it, give me a thumbs up, right? You started putting wax on your hand, and then to a level where you became so strong. Sometimes we're using to do like wristband, so putting wax. We used to draw line, right? Different. Thank you very much, PBK. The rest of us we don't want to embrace integrity, right? And at a point, it works. It got to level now. We off a candle by touching it. Just hold the I don't know what to call it, the lid. We turn it on. Before we used to blow, but it got to level we're not blowing again. We just consistent. So we reinvented ourselves. Most people fired us at the time. I know I did. I don't know about you. I'm sure most of us did, but we don't want to accept it. But we cannot all be integrity conscious. All right. So yes, so that's what reinvention really looks like. So now, so this is the core, right? Rebranding your professional identity, right? Rebranding your professional identity, rebranding your professional identity. So what's your old identity? You have to define what you're moving from. You can't really, you can't effectively jump into any industry without you clearly stating what you're leaving behind, or what you're coming away from. So the question is, on this call, so I believe all of us are transitioning one way or the other. It may not be out of an industry, it may be in the same industry, but like to a newer position. So tell me, what does your old identity look like? Or you have changed, for example, what was your old identity like, right? And then what is your new identity like? For me, my old identity was programs management in the non-profit sector. Now my new identity is management consultant in the for-profit sector or a social enterprise sector. So tell us, tell us, tell us. So you need to be able to clearly articulate your desired future professional, because if you can't put it on that segment I've tagged personal statement effectively, because if you can't sell it to yourself, you can't sell it to another person. So before you even, you start preparing a resume to that new discipline, you look at role clarity, pinpoint the specific role and responsibility you seek. Be very real. Be very, very real. Be very, very real. What is it? Even if it's money that is the reason why you're going to this new industry. Okay, I know it's money, but let's move money aside now. This particular role, right? Not even money, put money at the top. I need to be making 1 million naira per month. But that will need me to do, these are the number of jobs that would enable me earn 1 million naira per month. These are the responsibilities. Which one do I think I have transferable skills for? We do it. Because sometimes there's nothing wrong in changing discipline or just going with the money, because a lot of things you want to solve, it's really money. I'm not gonna lie to you, right? If you have your way to start from passion and grow in passion and then it turns to wealth, God bless you. But if you're not that privileged and you have start from resource and then you come back to impact, by all means, impact is impact. All right. So you have to be clear what the role is. Industry alignment. You have to research and understand the target industries nuances. By nuance, I mean what works there. Because when I came into the for-profit sector, I struggled a bit because I came into social enterprise. Social enterprise is like a blend of non-profit and for-profit. So when I came in, I was doing so much of non-profit. Oh, you could see me doing advocacy programs online, right? Thinking of the next training program to do. I wasn't thinking from a business perspective. I didn't think about service for almost a year. Or you wouldn't even find, I thought about it, but you won't find service on our social media for almost a year. All you could see was mostly programs. So you come, you think an NGO. My friends often ask me, Gary, how far? What about your NGO? And I'm like, no, it's not an NGO. But can I blame them? No. But we position ourselves as what they could see on the internet felt like, you know, NGO. So alignment. Positioning statement. Craft a concise statement that encapsulates your value. Now, this is why I talked about the fact that in your resume, it won't be, you may not have to label it personal statement too, right? It could still be a professional summary, but this would be a statement. If you've applied for a job before, you call it a motivation letter. If you have applied to a school abroad before, you call it a personal statement. A very concise edition, like a 2-paragraph. Sell yourself in a 2-paragraph. It's like when you're applying for a job on Upwork, right? And you have a proposal. You have few characters, few words to do that. That's what your positioning statement looks like on your resume. Some of you want to capture career breaks, right? I think I have a resume that has a career break. I think I'll see if I can share that with you guys on the call. Some of you want to have to capture that because the point between when you quit your job, for example, and when you get a new job in a new discipline, it's important that you use that, you call that use that like a career break, right? Find 1 or 2 courses for this new discipline and plug it in that space. All right. It shows that you're willing to do the work to be better in this new industry and you're not sleeping in the bicycle. You're not looking for things to be handed over to you just because you have worked a good number of years. I know this feeling, right? I don't know if anyone has had this feeling before, but you're applying to a job and at first they said 5 years experience. And yes, now I've been out of school for 5 years now. I have 5 years experience working, and then they say in XYZ discipline. I like, chai, but I have 2 years experience in this one. I have 1 year experience in this one. I have the other 2 years in another discipline. Altogether, they are 5 years, but not in this thing. How many of you have had that experience before? It may not be 5 years. It could be 0 to 1 year experience. Like, I have 1 year experience now, but then you now see the other part of the sentence. If you had that experience, have you encountered that before? Right? You're trying to apply for something. You're seeing 0 to 1 year experience. You're already excited. It doesn't need much. 0 to 1 year experience in. You're like, hey, God, is there any hope for the unemployed? And I'm guessing nobody has had that experience. Well, please, I pray you don't have that experience, because it can, as I say, the worry mind, right? I would not want that for anyone. But I've seen that one too many times. Sometimes I would even see a programs manager role, right? Because I have notifications for different job roles, so that when I see, I share to my friends immediately. And then I would see, 4 years, 3 to 5 years experience, right? Like programs manager, programs development manager, and I've been there, done that. Let me just read through, and I scroll, and I see 3 to 5 years experience in project management, or in grant writing, or what other thing again that we can put programs under. Some say, oh, in product management for tech NGOs, or for hospitality industry. And you're like, but I have 5 years, boy. It's not really hospitality. I was hospitable in these jobs, but it wasn't hospitality, industry. Yeah, so you're asking yourself, how can I, make a blend to make it work? We will figure that out on the score. So far, so good. If you're gaining something, you're enjoying the session, just drop a numeral 1 on the chat box, so that I can be sure that I'm speaking to people, and it's not a waste of time for them, neither is it a waste of time for me. All right, so just the numeral 1, just drop it on the chat box, so I can be sure you are learning something and you've been following so far. Okay, thank you very much, PBK. So we're going to be looking at translating past experience into new relevance, right? Now, I think I said this on the last call. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. I said this on the last call. There are some roles that you've had before, right, that have so much relevance in the new industry you're having, but you just don't know it. I showed those of us that were entry-level people for the very first session, I showed you guys how you can convert your assignments, your projects, your seminars, workshops as a student into active experiences for you when you're applying for jobs. I'm a benefactor of that experience. It was my experience on campus. I hosted the training youth empowerment program as a student. We had over 1,000 in attendance, and that's what got me my first job. Till I left that company, they didn't ask me for my CV. I think the only time they asked me was when we wanted to bid for a particular stuff, and they needed to show competence. That was it. But they never saw my CV, and I had worked there for 3+ years. Right? So there was something transferable. So yes, because I had done a program in school, it was easy to translate that experience into programs. For some of you, it may not be the same, but we will see how we can align past roles with future aspirations, emphasizing what relevant duties. So some of you may have been a programs officer, right, before, but you are coming into finance. Now, what did you do as a program officer that you can put in your responsibilities, your resume for a finance transition? So you want to talking about how you did resource mobilization, right? You want to talk about how you did budgeting. You want to talking about how you did what else relates to finance again in this industry? Vendor management, right? These are some things that will show that you have handled resource. You've been able to do finance a program, right? You talk about partnership and donor and partnership relationship management, right? Because that's another thing that ensures that the money keeps coming in. You want to spotlight that for a finance role. Did you not do it in general? Yes. Did you talk about it in your programs resume? Not so much, because you're focused on your achievements. Oh, I organized 12 virtual programs, 2 conferences, because that's what you want to spotlight for. If you're transitioning to finance, you can't pick these things from your programs role and drop it there. So you have to rewrite your job description. Some of you will need to do that on the, after this call, if you're thinking of going to a new discipline, right? You want to now focus on outcomes, not titles. Now, I'll give another example. Some of you, when you're applying for a job, don't have this fear, right? Don't have this fear. But I have a friend that was a grant manager, right? He has a grant manager role rather on his resume, but he was applying for a job that had to do with programs too. So he wrote grant manager and program support. Did he support programs when he was a grant manager? Of course he did. But what was the title of his position? Grant manager. I'll give an example. He's applying for a role in data collection, right? But he has functioned as a bookkeeper before, as an inventory manager before. So he took those details, right? The record keeping aspect of things, and or how I used to gather data, the surveys, this one, that one, that one. He brought them together. So he didn't focus on the title. So you have to he started highlighting achievements and impact that an impact rather than just responsibilities, because responsibilities have gone, he doesn't really have it for the new industry, but he has achievements. One or two things from this current space. I kid you not when I tell you that nobody's life is a waste. Now I'm saying this because it's very, no life is a waste. No matter how far gone someone may have gone, maybe on a perilous path or in a wrong path, there is still something you can take from that person's journey that would validate another journey the person wants to start. For example, the knowledge of the way to the knowledge of the perilous way. He now knows that if he's going to a new path, he knows what the perilous way looks like. So when he's walking and he starts seeing symptoms or traits of a perilous way, something that's going to turn out bad as an outcome for him, he knows how to withdraw that because he's taking that knowledge from his experience. So he's filtering. What am I focusing on? Same thing for so people that quit alcohol, for example, right? So to avoid relapse. What did they do? They now know that this alcohol that has this every drink, whether you say 2%, 40%, they have alcohol inside. Or when I smell alcohol, it just gives me the reason to want to drink it. So what are they doing now? They are taking that experience in their new journey of not being an alcoholic, and they're saying, okay, don't be 20 feet close to alcohol, maybe any place that alcohol is going on, because that smell will recreate that. So these are past experiences nonetheless, but they are necessary for the new journey. So I had to use one real life example. I had to use one career example, because at the end of the day, your life is as real as your career, and your career is as real as your life. Right? So you want to focus on outcomes, not titles. Skill-based storytelling, right? Weave narratives that demonstrate your capabilities in the new context. I give example, programs to finance. Talk about how you drafted budget, you managed budget, you even did the budget on Excel. Yes, even though you just dropped the budget on the spreadsheet, you didn't really do so much, but talk about it, right? You want to talk about how you were able to raise funds when you were calling different uncles and aunties saying, so I'm having my first program as a program officer, I beg, even if it's 200,000, please give us. So you were raising funds, so you write it in a way. I was able to raise 20 million naira for programs. So you weave the narrative that shows that you are capable, right? That's another way to translate past experience. Quantify transferable results. Use oh my God. When I see a resume, right, or a CV, and there are no numbers inside, I'm already turned off. That's my ATS. Yes, they have their normal applicant tracking system, right, where they run the trace. For me, that's my own ATS. Once I see a resume there, I don't see one number, I'm already thrown off. I will go through it, but I'm already thrown off. I'm hoping that maybe your achievements, will make up. But once you're not seeing numbers at all, I'm like, how can I measure what you've done? Even if you're not saying I improved this by 30%, at least tell me I collaborated in a team of 20. Just find a way to fix in a number. Use number and metrics to showcase the value you have delivered, right? Because bear in mind, you're coming to an industry where you don't have formal experience in, but you want to be taken seriously. So you have to appear serious. All right. So 4 things again: you write your job descriptions, right? Take those already those duties you have had and turn them to responsibilities. Turn them to responsibilities. Take away the consciousness of focusing on title, focus on the outcomes, right? What did I do in this particular role that if I spell it out as just those responsibilities, it will sell me out. If you focus on the achievements, it will sell me out. Skill-based storytelling, right? Build a story around what you've done before. Because all you can do now is talk. Until you get one job in the new discipline, you will talk. Quantify transferable skills. Make sure you use numbers and metrics. So that way they can easily say, okay, this person has not been in industry before, but we can work with the 20% increase. Someone that can increase something in 20% can do the same in any industry because the person can replicate it because it is a transferable skill. Are you guys getting the idea now of why numbers and metrics are quite important? If you are, just give me a thumbs up, right? Just give me a thumbs up if you're getting the idea of why those transferable skills, for example, have to be put in numbers. They have to be a metric, because you are telling me if I see you boosted sales 60% in 6 months of working with them, I don't care whether you were in sales before and you want to come to finance, I'll bring you in because you have a strategy. You work with a team of 10 or of 20, right? My team is 2. Of course, you can find a way. So when you're transitioning, right, you are the most, what's the word? You pay attention to the most detail when you're transitioning, because the person going over your resume is paying attention to the most detail. They want to find a reason to help you, to bring you on board, and you should not be the reason why they don't find a reason. All right. Resume structure for career switchers. Now, this moves beyond resume. It comes into your cover letters, your motivation letters as well. So when I'm saying what I'm going to be saying now, don't think only resume. Think towards the job application itself. Some of you cover letters, some of you motivation letters, some of you interview response, some of you forms that you fill, right, to apply for some job, maybe international and local. You have to fill some forms, right? The first thing you want to consider when your resume structure, when you're switching an industry, is the headline signals direction. A compelling statement indicating your target role, right? Now, mind you, some of us do this mistake. When you're applying for a job, rename your resume, right? Let it carry the name of the company, or you're saying Gare Oke-Eriemo CV for NDDC. Gare Oke-Eriemo writing resume for NDDC. It shows them that you took a step on them. First, that's your first statement, right? You think that because you upload it online doesn't mean it has a name. It still has a name. So once you upload a document online, they can still see what you save that document as when they receive it on their end. I believe most of the time. So that's one of the things. Second thing, right? Your headline. So some of you have resumes where you're privileged to put, for example, marketing manager underneath it, and then you now have a resume. So your new headline should reflect where you're going to. Of course, you can't be applying for a job as a nurse and your headline is written marketing experts. Doesn't make any sense. And then you come to the segment. So after you have your name, your contact details, the next thing they want to see is your personal statement. Like I said, not everyone has to write that title as a personal statement, but the content should be a personal statement, because you're basically telling me, using skill-based storytelling to tell me why I should take a shot on you that have 10 years experience in a different industry over someone that has even 3 years in my industry. All right. So you're making sure that your headline gives them interest, and then when they come to your personal statement, because they will come for it, then they can also see how, okay, if this was compelling enough, let me see where I can find something in the person's education or in the person's other experiences that I can now tell my fellow recruiters why I'm taking the chance on this person. Because for me now, right, it's easy for my executive director at the time to tell my founder that, oh, I work with Gary because Gary has programs experience here. If he has done a program that brought out 1,000 people, he does not need a certification to prove to me that he can. You're getting the examples now. For example, so I came into the social enterprise space. We've worked with a good number of clients, right? Some have done corporate profile for them, we've done websites, we've done proper business consulting, one-on-one mentorship sessions. I have not done all these things before. Maybe I did them on a freelance note, but I was able to translate that in a compelling way to say, I have this person, I spoke just one phone call with this person, she took a step on her business transformed. So yes, I can give you business consulting, even though I don't have a business certificate at the time. Now I did, but I didn't. So how did I get clients? I was able to tell a compelling statement, tell a compelling story, what are the experience I've had. I always tell the story about how we did a program. The idea was for students to come out of school and not settle for the jobs available. They need to get something better, they need to create. And then I will mention a number of businesses that have been created from that program. You can go and check. That is a compelling statement in a direction for where I'm going to, right? Summary explains your pivot. So, like I said, this is the same thing. A concise narrative connecting past and future career goals. So it is why I said that first paragraph that you normally would call professional summary or executive summary now becomes to you a personal statement. You may not have to label it a personal, but you have to make sure the content is a personal statement. You're speaking to the you're speaking resonance to the recruiter, right? Experience reframed. So you make sure, like I mentioned, I said it already when I talked about rewriting job descriptions, right? I said tailor your descriptions to emphasize relevance to this new path. So find, yes, you've been a web developer, but now you're transitioning into product management. Tell us, of course, this is not so much of a big pivot, but tell us the teams you worked with, tell us the tools you worked with, right? Remove I developed this number of sites. No, focus on now. What are the leadership skills that would qualify you? What are the tools that you have used beyond your normal tools for coding that would position you, right, as an effective leader, right, and someone that is versatile in using these tools to bring people together to achieve a common result. So you're going to be telling us how many developers did you work with? Were you the senior developer? How many junior developers did you work with? How many interns did you work with? That's what you should focus on if you are doing that kind of transition, right? Skills and certifications. Sometimes this is a trick. Sometimes some of you will have to start a course. You may not have finished it. You can start just the same way you can write MSc or BSc in view. It means you're still running the program. You can do the same thing for a certification. You write it, maybe you're taking a new course in finance, you're pivoting to finance, you're writing the course, you're writing in view in back. You can have 10 of those courses and put in view. So you show the person that I have taken this on these courses because I want to be more prepared for this industry. So permanently display transferable and newly acquired skills. If you already have them, if you don't, show to them that you can acquire them. Right now, I talked about skill-based storytelling, right? So telling a compelling career switch story. Why are you switching? Articulate your motivations clearly and authentically. That's what you do in your personal statement in your resume now. Tell us, because you may not, you need to compel them enough for a person for them to want to interview you and hear the whole story. If there's nothing in your resume, they're just saying experience, nothing that speaks to my sense of judgment that I will consider you. I won't consider you. So sometimes if you have a job you're applying for example, and it has a form where you can answer all these basic questions, sell yourself there. But if you don't, please make sure you have a personal statement on your resume. Why now? Explain the timeliness of your transition. So that is where some of you have what they call a career break. So how you represent the career break on your resume, you're representing like as if it's a work experience. So where you have your role, the company name, you have the period of time, you will do the same thing. Career break, right? Oh, January 2025 to April 2025, you write what you did in that time. Or I took this break. So between when you left the industry and when you're applying for this new job, I took this time to learn these courses and why I'm doing this thing now, because I'm about to apply for a master's in finance and I need to have some hands-on experience in finance before I delve into the industry. You just tell them why. Communicate confidence. Assure them is where metrics come in. Project assurance, not indecision in your narrative. Tell them how sure you are that the same thing that you did in where you're coming from, you can replicate it in their system. It doesn't matter what structure that they have. You want to also demonstrate genuine interest and understanding for this new part. Okay, you're leaving your former company or former industry. Why this part? You need to be able to tell them. That is what I did when I applied for my MBA. I told them I'm leaving the non-profit sector, coming to the for-profit sector, right? I need to work with C-level executives. I need to be able to speak that I know my onions. So how do I tell them I'm competent when I don't have a business background? I've never run a business in my life. It's why I need this MBA program. And I got a full scholarship for it. Right? These are the steps. Career switching mapping exercise. So this is something I want for as many of us on this call that are actually switching industries, right? So I'll take the next slide and we'll open the floor for questions. A practical framework for identifying your new path, your current role. What are you doing now? What are you doing now? Be as detailed as can be. Please write it down. What am I doing now? What's your current role? For some of us, if you're working in the Nigerian labor force, right? I can't say about any other country because I'll talk about where I'm from. We find ourselves, I don't know if you're in that space, you can signify. You were employed to be an HR manager, but you find yourself doing HR manager, people's manager, talent acquisition manager, and sometimes even finance manager in one role. If you've been there, you can signify, right? Now, you now need to now pen down what you're currently doing, because sometimes it's beyond the title of your job. Your current role is in your job experience, not your job description. Because job description is limited to the title of what they employed you for. But your job description is your job experience is what you have experienced in that space, right? Then you now move on to say, where do you want to go? What's your target role? If you didn't have any passion for any new industry, you just want to go to a new industry, I'd recommend you start from when you have listed what you have done, find the one that excites you the most, or find the one that pays you the most, and then start writing them down as your target roles that you want to go to. Transferable skills. What skills are universally applicable? It still comes out from when you have listed. You can't list a role and not list the skill that made you achieve that particular thing in that particular discipline. So you list them out. After you have decided your target role, you can start filtering them. All right. Experience to reframe. How can your past achievements serve your future? So you're thinking, I've listed everything I did in my former role. I've listed transferable skills. So how can I touch this thing? When I wanted to write the application for that friend for a PhD in finance, I asked her, have you done anything in finance in your life? She said, I attended 1 or 2 webinars about how to save money. I said, okay, I wrote it down. It seemed so little to her. I wrote it down. She talked about how she said one course in Udemy, but she don't know whether she has finished it. I said, go and finish it. What's the name of the course? I wrote it down. So I made mention that her resume had professional statement, but I changed it to personal statement and sold those 2 experiences there first before she would get a normal personal statement. Of course, she already aced her PhD proposal, right? So it was convincing the panel now to get her in, and they got her in. She didn't get a scholarship, right? But she got the admission. And so if she does very well in her first year, she can apply for a scholarship. All right, but it's how you reframe it. Skill gaps to close. What you do, I told you that some of the times you need to start a new, you apply for a new course on Coursera and Udemy, whatever platforms you're familiar with. Start a new course and put it on your resume as in view. Right? I'm saying because even me, I did it recently. Right? I wanted to apply for something. It wasn't for a job, it was for a fellowship, right? And they had some requirements. So I said, if it's me that was on the panel, I will need to see something now. So I went to my Udemy. I have like 20 something courses I've never done. They are different fields. I started filtering the ones that are relevant to this stuff, right? And I started checking all my other certifications. When you start when you start working at first, you have this time and you have this energy. You're always bagging certificates. You jump on LinkedIn and your post on LinkedIn always, I'm excited to announce, right? How many of you are tired of seeing messages like, I'm excited to announce that I've just, like, oh my God, are you really excited? Are you really excited that you did this certification, right? And that's so those things that you had energy for before, you pack all of them. And then you now see which ones are relevant for here and which one you need to add, right, for this new we are going to. So one of the things I want you guys to take away from today's session is you're not starting from zero. I kid you not. As far as you have done something in your life, there's a way you can condition that experience into what you want to go into. Your journey has equipped you with invaluable assets. You just need to check them out. You know how a parent will die and then the lawyer will come and say, I have this property here and here and here, and then boom. But if they have a close relationship with the father, the lawyer would not surprise them. So if you have a close relationship with your past experiences, right, going to a new discipline will not scare you because you know that you have transferable skills. You know you won't build transferable skills. So if you're not transitioning now and you're looking to transition, please start building transferable skills. Your experience still holds value. It's about how you frame it for your new direction. Your experience still holds value your experience still holds value. Clarity, not apology. Own your career decisions with confidence and conviction, because you have to have audacity in your personal statement. You have to be confident. Don't come as if you are begging, right? Don't come as if you are begging. Come like, you know your stuff, even if you don't entirely know, right? But more importantly, begin rebranding. For those of you that have not pivoted yet, but you know you're going to pivot, start rebranding yourself, start refining your resume, start a new narrative today. For those of you that are already in it, you can still start now. Don't pile up, why pile up the number of applications you have made and the rejection offers you have gotten when you can get it right by doing the right thing? All right. I say that again. Why pile the number of rejection letters or applications you have made, right? Is when you can do the right thing by rebranding now and ensuring that you probably will not even get a rejection letter ever. You have to just make a choice from your different offers. All right. So I would end it on this note and then open the floor for questions. Right. I really love questions on actually transitioning right now. I want to hear pain points, right? Because I have been there. I may not have been in the industry that you are in, but I've been in the transition phase, and I can tell you for a fact, right? There may be resonance in what my experience has been and what your experience will be or is currently. So questions. Thank you. All right, questions. I want to believe that they are questions. They have to be questions. Or I'll ask questions. How many of us remember those kind of teachers in school? Why they say if you don't have questions, I will point on if you ask questions. Yes, I think I want to be one of those kind of teachers. All right, so questions. We have 6 minutes to the call. Goes off. So I want to make the most of it. So let's get questions. Or do you want me to ask questions? Let me check that people are still on this call. So if you call, you can unmute your mic and just say, "Oh, hi." Adedayo, if you're on the call, please just unmute your mic and say hi. Adams, please do same. I believe that's Christabel, please do same, so that I can be sure that maybe you guys are still trying to digest everything I've said, but I want to be sure that you're on this call, with me. All right. So nobody should type. Even if you're in an environment, unmute the mic. Let me hear what's in your background. I just want to be sure that we're all in sync, right? So this is the last session in this masterclass series, right? And if you don't get it right in this session, I don't know, you may not be able to just reach out to me randomly, maybe another 2 months from now. She says she's still at work. Okay. You may reach out to me a random time and say, "Oh, hi Gary, I have this question." So I'll be like, from what session, where did I meet you and all that. I may not be as enthusiastic as I am now. So please ask your questions. Christabel has said that she's at work, so she may not be able to, speak. But at least she confirmed that she's hearing us. Christabel, do you have a question? You can type your question. You don't have to speak. Right? You can type a question, and then I'll see how we can do diligence to it. All right. So Adams, Adedayo, let's hear from you guys. In case Adedayo is a girl, guys. All right. So let's talk. Or Sam, do you have any questions for me today? I always love Sam's questions because they're very profound, right? It comes from a place of I really want to know, other than a place I just really want to speak. So Sam, hit me one of those your
I know, right? Yeah. I'm really trying, but don't really have a specific question. I think it's all well explained so far. So as far as what to do with the information, I think that's where a lot of people struggle. What to do next, but it looks like it's well outlined here. So yeah, it's all well outlined. So thanks.
All right.
Thanks very much for the session.
All right, thank you. So just for the remaining few minutes, I'll just go over it again, right? What you want to do for now, calm down, right? Calm down and believe that every single experience you had is a waste. It's not a waste. I can guarantee you, it's not a waste. Even if you were just carrying files where you are now, and it's not, and you think it's not relevant for where you are going, don't worry. I'll start asking what's the content of the file. Start thinking of what the contents of the files were. How many people did you meet along the way? What kind of conversation did you have until the file dropped from where you took it? There is something there. for you to transition effectively and build a new resume of impact, you have to read in between the lines of your own experiences. You have to relive them. You have to relive them. You have to relive them. Sometimes I have to go back to my former report as programs officer to see, okay, how many grants did you apply for? How many did you scale to the next level? Because sometimes you want to even for me, I want to convince a CEO that I can guarantee you that we can help you get funding. And how? I was able to get funding in the non-profit sector. But this is a for-profit sector. It's not the same. I said it's not the same, but it's a human being behind the funding, and it was a human being behind the funding in the non-profit sector. If we could get to them there, we will get to them here. It may not be the same strategy, but the same structure or the same system. All right. So take your time, read in between the lines of your own experiences, right? Be sure of what your current role is, define what your target role is. Like I said, list out the transferable skills, right? And list out the experiences you want to reframe. Because I kid you not when I tell you this, every single past achievement, right? They have a way to align with your future. Okay, not every, most have a way to align. Because I feel like, so let's talk universe now. I don't think the universe will keep you on a wrong path that does not have a right reason. So I believe that there is something you can always take, even from that. The word mishap, there is hap. The word misspell, there is spell. The word misbehave, there is behave. So even in the past that you think that they're not relating to what you want to do right now, I guarantee that it's something you can take. You can take. Okay, so your question is coming far too late. Korea 1 minute, but how should I write my resume to apply to a new industry? Should I remove roles that are not directly related to my career? If you don't have a role that is directly related, don't remove all those ones. Find the achievements, right? That's what I talked about. Transferable skills, the experience to reframe. Find a way to tweak them for this current role. All right. So this is us done. We have another session going on here. I'd encourage you to stay on the call. The other speaker is here, and please. I think I was privileged to see the other speaker the other time. She's an amazing person. I had a bit of a session. She had an amazing smile too. So if you're having a bad day, please join this call, right? And I guarantee that you're not going to regret it. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Have an amazing weekend ahead, and bye-bye for now.